Assalamu alaikum. Sisters and brothers, Sulaiman Rahim here, Messenger of the Covenant, Breaker of the Seven Seals, the Watchman on the Wall. Let's bring in our audio section. This is the fire zone, the black alert section. Sisters and brothers, I want to talk about death in Hades again, which, if you understand the scriptures, that's China and India. So before that, we're going to talk about a couple of things here, brothers and sisters. We need to settle a few basic understandings. Now, the book says you're being deceived. So, you know, you scriptural brothers and sisters, right? You say you believe in this stuff, but do you? Do you listen to it? Do you pay attention to it? Because you don't really believe in any of it. Because you listen to these demons out here that's telling you what to think. In fact, they don't tell you what to think at all. They don't want you to think. See, they want you to just, right, react enough to keep them living the high life. Because they claim to have the truth, but why you have to pay them? See, it's nothing in the scripture say you have to pay them directly for giving the truth. You're supposed to give the money to God, according to what it sounds like it says in the Old Testament, but they're supposed to use that in the purse of God, not to enrich themselves. But that's a problem right there, because Cheflo Dollar, T.J. Jakes, Farrakhan, they all use the money to enrich themselves, because Farrakhan particularly is not producing a damn thing, has not in 40 some years. Hasn't produced shit, nothing. But the truth, it says, read Revelations, also called the angel, says it'll be a free gift to you. You don't have to pay for it. And I'm bringing you truth that you never heard before, and that you can check and see if it's true or not. It's not costing you a dime. Don't cost you anything, nothing, zero. But yeah, you can check it and find out whether it's truth or not. Because we prove everything here. We're not asking you to believe nothing. We're not asking you to believe me or anyone. We give you the facts and you can go and prove it for yourself. We're not asking you to believe anything. Because they tell, oh, just believe, just believe, just believe. Well, how do you know their belief is any different from the belief in Hindu land, or the belief in Buddha land, or the belief in any other land? See? Because, brothers and sisters, you've been programmed. You was programmed 40 years ago. They turned you into Negro butts. It took 64 years to program you, and now you're programmed to your own destruction. You're programmed to do what Master wants you to do, to your own destruction. You're programmed against yourself. And now you need to be deprogrammed. And when Elijah Muhammad came along and deprogrammed you, that was dangerous. Right? The FBI said that was dangerous. See? Because you have Negro bus running around deprogrammed, you see, to the truth, and know who the open enemy is. That's dangerous. You see? That's like having trained elephants, and all of a sudden they become untrained. Right? They're going to tear up everything. But as long as they train, you got them under control. You know what you can do. You can tell them what. But if they become untrained and they got all that power, brothers and sisters, you've been harnessed. You are a powerhouse. You are a powerhouse. You're the most powerful people on the planet. You're the wisest people on the planet. But you was programmed. In 1555, they took 64 years to program you. So now they're using all that power and all the energy, all your creative power, all your creative energy, right? All your physical energy against you for their purposes. You're a trained animal. That's what a Negro bud is. You're trained, you're programmed. See? Oh man, see, no, obviously you're going to reject what I'm saying because you've been programmed to reject it. You're programmed against all truth. See? You don't understand how you work, you don't understand how the universe works, you don't understand anything. Yeah, you're walking around here thinking, you're walking around here like you don't know anything. I mean, you walk around and say, okay, I'm an American dream, but where's America? Where's that dream? Where's the future? You have no idea what the future brings. None. You know, the Romans, they was living high and mighty until the Vistakos, I think they call them, came across them one day and took them down. They didn't see that coming. They didn't see that coming. See? One day they came over the hills. Next thing they know, they took Rome down. And one day, they didn't see that coming because they couldn't see the future. You can't see the future because you've been programmed. Your eyes, they've taken your eyes away from you. Because the scripture is your eyes. That's your foresight. That's your inheritance. See? Our scientists give us foresight. They write these books every 25,000 years to give us foresight to what to expect in every time frame. Because you have different seasons. You have 4 seasons every 25,000 years, right? Approximately every 24,000 years, because it's 6,000 years apiece. 6,000 times 4 times 6 is 24,000. See, every 6,000 years. That's why the devil's had 6,000 years. That says Adam only has 6 days or 6,000 years. That's a season. When their season is over. See, it's just like daffodils, they have a season. But then when fall comes, they die. There's nothing you can do to prevent that. Their season is over. See, but during their season, they were successful. See, right now, their season to make mission shed blood. We went to a season of making mission shed blood. Whoever did that was successful in it. It's like a winter season. They were successful in it. If you wasn't doing that, you wouldn't be successful. They have 6,000 year period, right? And if you was doing that, you were successful at it. Because that was a period to do that particular thing. See, but now that period's over. That's why Iblis said, I'm not going to submit to that. But see, he was right and wrong. He was right from a moral point of view because he says, man, why should I submit to somebody that's going to make mission shed blood? I'm going to do all these terrible things on this person. But from a mathematical a point of view, right? From a righteous point of view, he was wrong because he was out of season. It was a season to do that. He said, I'm not going to do it. So therefore he failed. For 6,000 years he'd been a failure. That's why he was cursed, because you have to submit to the God, because God is moving through time. He's moving forward through time. And if you're moving forward through time, right, along, then you're successful. So this tells you the God of this season was Satan. And if you worship Satan, right, during that 6,000 years, then you would be successful. They tell you who the God is, well, this age, 6,000 year period is. They tell you it's Satan. Jesus said the God of this age is Satan. So these people did things, they did the works of Satan. Jesus told you, he told the so-called Jews, he says, no, you're not the seed of Abraham. So your father's the devil. He said, you do the works of his works you will do. He said, a lie and murder from the beginning. See? But they were successful. He says, they were of Satan, synagogue of Satan. So they were successful, stealing people's land, killing people, destroying us, all the things they did, they were successful at it. Because it was a season for that. See? So our job was to submit, right, and avoid at the same time. Because if you see an elephant coming at you, step out the way. You ain't going to get in a fight with that elephant. Step out of the way. The elephant keep going by his way. And so we was told submit, right, but don't confront. It says if they want whatever they want to do, give it to him and just step out the way. See? So you say, oh well, he says love your enemies. You better read that whole thing. Read Proverbs where Jesus was quoting. It says, by doing this, you heaping hot coals in their head. What it means is that you step out the way and let them go to their destruction. Because if you get in the way, you're going to get trampled down. If you stand in the way, you will be trampled down. You see, as soon as they stand in the way, what's happening? They're getting trampled down. Anyone that stands in the way is being trampled down. Sanctions and everything else. Because they have the power to do that. Because their time of rule. But their power is over. They cannot do that anymore. They think they can, but they can't. But they have you programmed into a system in their evil. That you wasn't told a system you're supposed to submit. That's a different thing. See? You wasn't told to do evil. You just submit and get out of their way. Where they tell you just do it. Just get out of their way. Don't offer any resistance to them. That's what they meant by submission. Don't offer any resistance to them. Just let them go. Happy is a man that walk what stands not and wait on the godly, or stand in the way of sinners. I can't say it, but you, those of you familiar with, know what I'm talking about. I said, just get out the way. See. So we're told, who's over here? Don't resist. Just let them go, because there's such thing as consequence, and they will pay for what they've done. That's why it says, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. So I'm going to take vengeance on them. Don't worry about it. Just step out the way. Because all that things they're doing, they're going to pay for. But see, since the analytical mind, the consequence they don't see it right away. As Jesus said, they don't see it right away. Even though it's happening right away. It's like cultivating a tumor. See, every time you steal something, the tumor gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Every time you beat somebody, the tumor gets still bigger and bigger and bigger. Every time you tell a lie, the tumor gets bigger. But you don't see the tumor getting bigger and bigger and bigger. You don't realize until it becomes fatal. And then where did this come from? It becomes all the bullshit you've been doing, all the evil. That's where it came from, because you was cultivating it, but you didn't see it. And that's the nature of the beast, because they didn't see the consequence they're doing, but they'll see it in their seed. Look, their seed is all messed up. Homosexuality is raging in the country. Look at drug abuse is out of control. Now they call it, it's a medical situation now. When it was us, right? It was criminal. You see, disease, plagues, and it's growing. It's not going to subside. It's growing because as a result of all the stuff they've been doing for the last 500 years. And in 8th chapter of AL-INJIL, or 8th chapter of Revelation, tells you that all their deeds rose up, and now they're paying for all of it in 1 year. 500 years of evil is going to be compressed in a 1 year period. Can you imagine that? That's why it's going to be a time of unprecedented trouble, a time of total chaos. See, and you can be saved from it. It doesn't cost you a dime. See. It says, those who in the Lamb's book of life will not hear the faintest sounds of the raging roaring. No, you will not be suffering any of that. But they blocking you from getting that. And that's these demons. See, when I talk about these demons, I'm going to talk about more another presentation. But let's talk about a little bit right now. See, the demons, that's their job. See, because they can come among you and deceive you and convince you where the devils can't, because devils are. Some of you would be. Some of you, the devils can come directly to you because you're so messed up. See, but most of us, hey man, if it comes direct from the devil, we got our backs up, right? We got our antenna goes up. So they have the demons come in. You don't suspect them. Wolves in sheep clothing. And they tell you, oh man, love America, love masters. We're making progress. Progress. That always gets me. And you buy it. Oh man, they should understand how much progress we made. Progress from what? From murdering, raping, killing, poisoning us, using us in every kind of way imaginable, butt raping and everything else. So you're making progress from that, and you claim you're not saying that you've overcome that. I mean, if they said they overcome it, I'd give it more credibility. If they said they overcome it, they said no, we're still making progress. That means you're still doing it, and you recognize what's bad, but you're still doing it. You haven't overcome it yet. That means they're telling you when they tell, and you don't pay attention to the words. Brown says you don't pay attention to the damn thing they say. They on TV saying things to you in a way because you so the only thing you understand is statistics, and he dunked, he did a slam dunk and all this bullshit. NBC, NFL, that's all you interested in. Oh, you got a touchdown. So you understand language, but you understand their language. and they be talking out the side of their mouth. They don't have to talk outside of their mouth actually, and you be buying it, and you don't pay attention to it, and you don't understand what they're saying. See, because I mean, I watch the news and I say, these people understand what they're saying to them. It's like you having a dog. I'm gonna put you down. The dog is wagging his tail and licking on the master, and the master just say, I just put your ass down. I'm getting ready to put you down. And that's the way you Negro busts are acting out there. Because master's saying to your face, he gonna get rid of your ass. He don't want you. He don't need you. He's saying to your face, and you don't recognize it. See, because you like that dog. We don't recognize the master telling him he's going to put him down. They saying it. And that's how they know. That's how they despise you. That's how they know you're ignorant. Because they saying it to your face and you don't even recognize it. They saying it to your face and you don't see it. They saying to your face that you ain't no damn good, that you ain't no but a nigger, you ain't worthless. They saying to your face and you, Master, I love Master. I love American dream. Our country. We gonna get Putin. We like a damn pig. What are you, swine? We. This ain't yours. And why would you want it anyway? They stole it. It's stolen property. It's stolen property. So in other words, I tell Farrakhan, okay, you're gonna get these 6 states that you claim you're gonna get, you're never paying for. And you talking about, oh, you love the American, Native American so much, right? So once you get those 6 states, they come and say, hey, bro, you brought justice, right? And you say, would you give us our land back? What are you going to say, go F you? You see what I'm saying? Do you think these things through? It ain't our land. These are our people. Do you understand anything? They say stuff to your face. Again, this thing, we're making progress. And yeah, man, hey, bro, we're making progress. Oh, so they ain't raping me as much as they used to be. They're still raping me. They ain't killing my children as much as they used to, but they're still doing it. So that's progress. They're telling you they're wicked, evil people. Because they're making progress. By progress for what? Where are they making progress from? And where are they trying to make progress to? And why are they still doing it? That's exactly what they're saying. You have any brains at all? That's exactly what they're saying. They say we've been effing you, and we still effing you, but we ain't effing you as much as we used to. That's what progress means. And you be saying, yeah, because these demons promote this stuff, and you, as long as you got your internet, and you can watch NFL, NBA, all your BN channels, watch Bulls and the Bears or whoever, right? Watch these stupid games. Demons, monkeys playing blue ball, and you all into that. Where enemies closing in on your ass. And they tell you they're closing. They tell you they're going to put you to sleep. They tell you they're going to put you to sleep. See, they had you all in your panties all, right, all wrapped up, all in a tussle over this COVID thing. Oh man, we dying like flies. And that was a lie. They ain't talking about it anymore, are they? See? Because they finally came out and told us, well, truth about it. The World Health Organization says that Black Africa and Haiti and all places where blacks live, that they wasn't being touched with this virus. Wasn't being touched with it. They wasn't being touched. But yet still you got the same DNA they have. You would have been dying like flies. It's a lie then, it's a lie now. That's why they gave it up. Because they use percentages, but you don't understand percentages unless it has something to do with NBA and NFL. Because if only 10 people got it and 9 died, 90%. You say, oh man, 90% of us died. They didn't tell you it was only 10% that got it. Well, it was only 10 people that got it, and 9 of them died. That's 90% of the black community. Because that's what they was playing percentage game. Until they asked Trump, say, hey Trump, what's the real numbers? We don't have the numbers. Well, how the hell you get a percentage if you can't have the numbers? You have to have the numbers to get a percentage. So they never come with the numbers. They never did come with the numbers, did they? They ever tell you the numbers of the black folks actually dying? They never showed that, ever. Because because the only ones dying anyway was the demons, their children, their black-faced children. That's what a demon is, right? If anyone was dying them, because it said the prophecy says, and this is the Abrahamic covenant, you better get on top of it, brothers and sisters, because that's what they deny you, hiding from you, right? It says, we will be enslaved for 400 years. Our enslavement started 1619. Don't listen to Farrakhan, that 1555 crap. Elijah Muhammad said no. He says, there was brought over here and took us 64 years to program us, to make us enslaved. But slavery officially started 1690. That's what he taught. But Farrakhan, he goes back to 1555, and I'll tell you why in a minute. See? So from 1619 to 2019, and then 2020 would be a plague that God would send, one of 10, because you got 9 more coming, and they're on the horizon. But this one will be kill the firstborn, which is the same thing as the elderly. But it will pass over you. And it did pass over us. It's not passing over Europeans. That's a fact. I ain't make it up. Go Google World Health Organization, WHO, and see that they put out about a month or so ago. And then soon after they put it out, then it's, oh man, South Africa, really? So all of a sudden South Africa got it. Mostly white folks there. All of a sudden South Africa got it. Because they got to keep that lie going, that because they know about the Abrahamic covenant, they don't want you to know about it. See? So brothers and sisters, that's up to you. You want to keep being a Negro butt? That's fine. That's your choice. We're not going to try to change it. See? Well, I'm going to back off on that. See? If you choose to be a Negro butt, we're not going to try to change your mind. But many of our people are Negro butts, not by choice. Because they're programmed, they don't know they've been programmed. That's part of the programming, not to know you've been programmed. And so we're going to short circuit the program. We're going to send electric shock through this, going to short circuit that program and cause you to reboot. And you reboot, you won't have that programming anymore. That's when you're going to wake up. See, and Master Muhammad's getting ready to short circuit it because he's getting ready to take down false Israel, who is identity theft. See, it stole identity, and that's part of that programming. So when it finds out that they stole identity and we the true seed of Abraham and they have fallen, that's going to short circuit that programming. And when they are destroyed, because that cannot happen if they're true seed of Abraham, because once they return, it cannot be destroyed. When he takes them down and destroy them, that's going to short circuit your programming. Then you're going to take, and then you're going to wake up. Then you're going to wake up. And then you're going to listen to this message. Because this message is facts. We do it facts and mathematics here, no bullshit. This is no bullshit zone. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. So let's move on. I'm going to talk about death and Hades here, right? Because there's some very, I've been so, I studied for over 30 years. But the last few years, right, I had to make a choice. I mean, I wouldn't do 100% study, but my ratio of study was like mostly study, and I say maybe 70% study and 30%, spreading the word. Because I had to know what I was talking about, right? I broke the seals in 1990. So eventually, the studying was 100% then. As years wore by, the studying went down as the spreading the message went up. And so now I'm mostly spreading the message now. I'm almost 100% spreading the message. I'm not doing very little studying. So I took this week to do a little extra studying, right? Because there's so much of the Bible I haven't studied yet, right? I broke the seals, but there's so much I haven't studied yet. I said that. I broke the seals of Revelation. I understand that. I mastered it, right? And I mastered a lot of things in there. But there's a lot of things that I haven't had. Because I said, I had a choice. Will I continue doing that and don't tell people what's going on? And my job is to warn people. So I said, okay, well, I got to do that, and I got to cut back on the studying. So I said this week, I said I'm going to go and do a little more study. So I picked up on, I looked at some information here, and I said, okay, I'm going to share this with you. And I'm doing part 2 of Death and Hades, because this is a very interesting verses that you really will not understand unless you understand the angel. But I can still talk to you in a way that you can still understand it. But if you understand the angel, you see it much more in HD. You see details that you don't see that I cannot tell you without you understanding the angel. So let's move into it. Okay. We're going to talk about Isaiah 2018. You know, Isaiah and Jeremiah, there's a lot of information there. They're a very large book, and there's a lot of information there. Right? They tell a lot of stuff. But I haven't went in and really broke down the whole thing because it's so much. Just like Ezekiel, it's so much. Right? And but the thing is, I give you the key. I give you the key where you can go in and break it down yourself. And we've had people, we had one sister, Fatima, she went in something, she really tore it up. She tore it up. Boy, she aced it. I was surprised because I never seen anybody do that before. And y'all be putting down these sisters, right? And these sisters, this young sister, she went in there and aced it. Right? Aced it. See? You're going to get tired of putting these sisters down pretty soon. You understand? Because you got that all wrong. You got that all wrong, brothers and sisters. Totally. See? The whole teaching from start to finish is all wrong. See, we didn't pull the woman out of us. No. Because the first us, the first one, was a combination of both, something they call hermaphrodite nowadays. Right? So we separated into two equal parts. Equal but different. So what, like, because if you, think about it for a minute. Okay. Here's the male. See, your understanding of this whole thing about the female. I'm taking a diversion, a segue here. So the way you understand is that the first there was the male, this male God. So he was physically just like a man, his sexual components and everything, right? Okay. So and that depends on where if you're Christian and you got a whole lot of different God made, but even so, even if you go that idea with the Adam and Eve story, it don't add up either. But that's wrong, because he made Adam, right? And then Eve was afterthought. So God, who can see in the future, you see in the future when he made Adam, he didn't see it, So if he made Adam totally complete, just like a man is now, right? He can produce sperm, he's got the physical, the reproductive organs, everything else, right? But what he needed for was no woman. What he needed for was no woman. You see what I'm saying? And why he got breasts? He don't need them. So then he said, well, he brought the woman out and made her, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Anyway, it was on the tip of my tongue, right? Anyway, she was supposed to compliment the male. But it doesn't make any sense. Because why would have all these organs for reproduction, yet there's no one there to reproduce with? So in other words, he would have to, when he went to sleep, he would have to be rebuilt. It'd be rebuilt. Unless he was meant to be by itself immortal and never reproduce itself. See, none of that makes any sense. So if you look at from the first being, was he was like a man with all the physical aspects of a man, reproduction, everything else, and then he looked inside himself and realized he needed a woman and pull a woman out of himself. That's bullshit. See? So in other words, it's bullshit. So no, he pulled a woman out of himself and then now they was able to reproduce. That's bullshit. It makes no sense. See, the first being, like it said in the Quran, the first day, from one being, all life came. So the first being, right, was a morphodite, had the ability to reproduce itself, had all the reproductive organs. And then what we did was we separated ourselves into two parts. We gave beauty to one part and gave her the responsibility of bringing it to completion. See, we said be, we give it a sperm, and she said it is. See, that concept goes through everything that happens. We said be, we give it a sperm, and she brings it to completion. We have the strength, she has the beauty. We're both equal. We're both a 7. See, but we're 5 plus 2, she's 3 plus 4. We 6 plus 1, right? She's 2 plus 5. Equal but different. That's equality. Only reason why the Quran says that men are a degree above women, because in time of war, the men has the advantage and the women should listen to him. That's what it's talking about. Anyway, I'll leave you alone, brothers, just with that. So let's go here. Now we're talking about Isaiah, so I want to. I talked about this all day, but I want to revisit it, and you see why. Okay. So the first part is pretty much what I said before, right? He's talking about this tested stone, the cornerstone. That's the high priest. See, God is the master of Muhammad, but the high priest, that's Suleiman. So he's talking about two. And Habakkuk, he's talking about two, and we're going to talk about Habakkuk in a minute. But there's two, right? There's the God and the high priest. See, the God is the one moving forward through time. He's creating time. That's how time is not something that on your watch, because the watch stopped. Does time stop? No. Time is turning energy from one form to another. That's time. You're creating time. Time is created. He creates it. And the high priest is the one amongst the people that keeps his eye on the God and shows you, and he keeps pace with the God, so you know what to do. But God don't sit around and tell you what to do. He does. He has high priest to tell you what to do, so you keep up with him. And that's how you're successful. Because if you're moving through time, you're successful. If you're not moving through time, you stand still, you're a time anchor, right? Then, and you're not keeping space with God, you can't be successful by definition if you think about it. So this is pretty much right here. I'm not going to go into detail here, but it says, "Behold, I'm laying a stone in Zion, a tested stone." See, Suleiman's tested because upon understanding the angel, he sacrificed everything, nothing. He leave nothing behind. He was tested for this message. You understand? And he passed the test. He aced the test. A precious cornerstone, because the high priest is the cornerstone. It was David, he was the God, but it was his son Suleiman that was the one that built the temple. Right? A precious cornerstone for the foundation, firmly placed. What do you mean firmly placed? See? Because he ain't going nowhere. You can't shake him, you can't talk about him, you can't pay him off like they did Farrakhan, right? You can't convince him, you can't do anything. Remember, Satan tried to deceive, tempted Suleiman in the desert. And he told him pretty much, "Get the F out of my face." You understand? Because you waste your time here. Go back deceiving your people because you waste your time. You can't move me. And he would have nothing. He was hungry, he was thirsty. And so he said, "Man, I can end your problem right now. I can give you everything you want." I just bowed down before me and said, "Man, you better get the F out of my face." See, so he was tired. He's firmly placed. He ain't moving. He's got the angel. See, which even makes it all firm because he got the truth. See, you don't know. See, you don't have no foundation. You have no firmness because you can't prove a damn thing you believe in. You can't prove any of it. You don't know if it's true or not. You just believe it, which is dangerous. What's that thing, Stevie, when you say, if you believe in something you understand, you're in trouble? No, I don't know much about that boy, but I mean, he shows the truth on that one. Because you don't know that you have no idea of what you believe in, whether it's true or not. So you might as well be a Buddhist or Hindu, whatever, because they have the same problem you have. See, that means you don't know shit about anything. If you can't prove it, that means you don't know shit. Whether you like, you don't hear it or not, that's your problem. And if you can't prove it, you don't know shit. You just believe in something that somebody told you. You're programmed, you're a Negro butt. A Negro butt. See? And it says a precious cornerstone for the foundation, firmly placed. The one who believes in it will not be disturbed. That means all these wars coming on, and the Armageddon's coming on, and all this time of unprecedented trouble. So you won't be disturbed by it if you get on board with this message. And it don't cost you anything. It's a free gift. Nobody says you couldn't send me money if you wanted to. Because you don't know how. Even the people that work with me, they don't know how. They have no idea. There's no way they can send me anything. Because I don't want your money. I don't want anything from you. I'm just telling you the truth. And you have to decide whether you want to go home or you want to stay here with the devils. Because you was promised 50,000 years ago, if you go through this, that you will be resurrected as from angels from gods, and you have the promised land, which is Arabia, which is your land, that we put sand on it 50,000 years ago to protect it. because it's the most beautiful land on the planet. It's the richest land on the planet. Where do you think topsoil and oil comes from? Oil comes from decayed organic matter. The same thing the topsoil comes from. You see one, you see the other. And what's the most richest place in the planet for oil? That's Saudi Arabia. That means you got yards and yards of topsoil under that sand. That's why I say land of milk and honey. You probably just drop a seed on it and just grow. But it's covered with sand so we can protect it so they wouldn't abuse it while we was gone, because they ran us out of there 50,000 years ago. So we covered the sand and we're going to blow that sand away. The Quran said we would give you a machine, a fan that will blow away mountains. So that means you can definitely blow away sand. And then under that sand, because organic matter means for that much oil to be there, that means that place used to be a paradise. Because organic matter means plant life and animal life died. And that means there had to be a lot of life there before that to produce all that oil that's under there. And that means if they got a lot of all that oil, that means they got a lot of topsoil too. So we go back to everything will grow. I mean, apples and everything will grow big as watermelons. It's rich, land of milk and honey. Overflowing. Where's milk come from? It comes from cows. It means have a lot of cow. Where's honey come from? Bees. It means have a lot of plant life. Brothers and sisters. It says, so that's your choice, because Farrakhan tell you to have no choice. He said, no, you're going to stay here. He's calling Elijah Muhammad a liar. He's calling Master Muhammad. He said he's preaching their teachings. He giving you that music. He got different lyrics. Because they said, Elijah Muhammad said, we're a fool to want to stay here. Master Muhammad said the purpose to come here to take us back home. Said we'll not return to have thorough knowledge of self. Return, not to some sick states. But Elijah Muhammad said, Farrakhan, we ain't going nowhere because he's a demon. He wants to stay with Massa. See? So he makes you think you don't have a choice. So that means you totally committed to staying on a plantation and working for Massa. If you don't think you have a choice, just like back in chain slavery, you thought every place was, they told you every place was a plantation. So running wouldn't stop you because you just run to another plantation. And then you get your ass whooped because you ran off from the plantation you was on. That's what they had you thinking. They didn't tell you there was a place of salvation, security, or sanctuary any place else. They told you the whole earth was nothing but one big plantation, right, owned by many different masters. And if you left this one, you'd run to another one. So therefore you didn't run. You think you'd have no choice. But when somebody like Harriet Tubman came and told you you had a choice, and you was out of there. And so Farrakhan, he's saying, they tell you got no choice, man. America's it. You ain't going nowhere. And now I'm telling you, you got best to come and say, come and tell you have a choice. You got a choice going back to your land, the richest land on the planet that belongs to you. And once you understand that, then you won't all invested in a false dream here. So you will not be disturbed. That's up to you, brothers and sisters. You know, you want to stay here and go to this hell? That's your choice. Okay. Verse 17. I will make justice the measure line and righteousness the level. The hell will sweep away the refuge lies and the waters will overflow the secret place. Now, this is kind of wordy, but let me break down what this means. It's talking about consequence. That's what God is all about, consequence. Every action has an opposite equal reaction. It means there's a consequence for everything you do. You talk, oh, there's mercy. No, you don't understand what mercy is. Mercy, and that's not, it's still consequence. You cannot escape the law of consequence under any circumstance. Nobody's ever had, nobody ever will. Let me give you an idea of mercy. See, you can go out and steal something that doesn't belong to you, because everybody has the same amount of energy. Let's get into the mathematics of the situation. I'm not going to deal with that. But you take something that don't belong to you, because that's how everybody has to have the same amount of energy for that principle to work. So you take more energy than you should, something that belongs to you. So now you create negative energy for yourself, which is a form of bad luck, right? So it comes in several ways. So say you got 1,000 years of bad luck you done built up because you done stole $1,000 from somebody you shouldn't have, right? Now it can show up in a couple of ways. As soon as you stole it, right, you could have a car accident. Now you got to pay a doctor $1,000. You know, you stole $1,000. Now you got to pay a doctor $1,000 to fix your broken leg. So immediately you got immediate consequence, right? See, so there was no forgiveness there because you paid for what you did. But the other way is, okay, now you just stole 1,000, so now you cultivate a ulcer, right? What's the other thing they call it? Not ulcer. Anyway, I can't think of the name of it right. but you cultivate it, right? It's like a cancer, a tumor. You cultivating a tumor, right? See? Now, at that time, it might be $1,000 worth of radiation would have cured, but you don't know that. So you keep on stealing. So now you stole $2,000. Now the tumor's getting a little bigger. Still that getting bigger. So now, after a while, you stole five, and so what? I said $1,000, now you stole $100,000. So now you got a $100,000 tumor there. And now you're starting to feel it. So you run to the doctor. Oh man, you got this tumor. It's going to cost you $100,000 with the surgery and medical bills to get rid of it. You see? So you wasn't getting rid of anything. You was cultivating a tumor. Now say it gets to $200,000 where it's fatal. Oh, doctor, hey man, we can't do it. It's inoperable. See? So in other words, in the first situation, you went to the doctor, and that was mercy because you was able to save your life because you found out about it, then you can reverse it. So you can go back and start giving money to people back and everything, right? And maybe that's, but you see what I'm saying? So now that's what mercy is. In other words, you have time to change your behavior before it kills you. But you're still suffering the effects of it. That's what mercy is. See, there's a time factor. So you're not getting rid of anything. You're not getting rid of anything. America hasn't got rid of it. All that stuff they were doing to us and everything, they was suffering. In other words, when you produce a child, that child is all mathematics. So if you got negative energy, you're going to produce a child that has negative aspects to it. And so what you're doing is producing your generation. That's why I said this is the most evil generation ever. Because that generation is a result of what they were doing to us for 500 years. Now they got generations out of control. It's crazy, homosexual, and they loose and everything, has no respect for anybody. Because that's it was affecting them. They was doing stuff to us, but they paying the price because now they got a generation that's doomed, totally doomed to destruction. There's no way they can avoid it. See? You pay for everything. You just don't see it. That's the mercy. You don't see it. So they had plenty of time to change their behavior. They didn't. So now they're in a situation where they broke. Their children are all messed up. Right? This gender stuff. They can't figure out who they're male or female, and everything else. They're totally crazy. So now they produce a seed that's totally out of it. All the stuff they're doing to us. But us, we was producing a seed. Because we were suffering so much, right? We was producing because if you take $1,000, somebody steal it, they're gonna get $1,000 someplace else. It'll come back another way. Because everything has to balance. See, so you can't really take anything from anybody. You can take the quality, but you can't take the quantity. So you can take $1,000. You can take $1,000 rug for somebody. They may love that rug, but they get $1,000 in cash. Well, it's worth $1,000, but it's not they lost the quality, but they still got the quantity back. See, they walk around and they find $1,000 come, or they get a healing that they didn't realize. They might tumor and it healed. They never even knew about it. Everything has to balance. Okay, so. We understand that, you see. So when they was taken from us, they was allowed to take so much from us because we was suffering energy deprivation. But when they went beyond that, right, then we start producing a better and better seed. That's why it says we can produce this 144,000. That's gonna be they're gonna be gods. And Master from how I understood this, Dr. Shabazz understood this 50,000 years ago. That's what it takes. It says, because we had to go to the furnace of affliction, and by going to the furnace of affliction, it said, we be tried in the furnace of affliction, we be purified in the furnace of affliction. By doing that, we produce a seed that was the best seed ever. There's not going to be any seed ever produced like this 145,000. This pure gold. It says they were unblemished. See, so we didn't suffer in vain. So we produce a better seed. Everything works out, brothers and sisters. Okay, so here it is. It says, I will make justice the measuring line and righteousness the level. That hell will sweep away the refuge. That means their lies, all their lies. What it means, that's the angel is blowing away all their lies. They try to suppress it, but angel is breaking the seals. I'm destroying all their lies. It's going to become stronger and stronger. Like that little ball rolled down the hill and gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until it crushes everything at the bottom of the hill. See, this mess gets stronger and stronger and stronger. Pretty soon it's going to be so strong it's going to crush all their lies. And the waters will overflow the secret place. See, that means all this secret's about to be exposed. Because the angel reveals everything. It tells a lot of secrets I haven't told you about. I'm getting ready to tell you about a secret right now that's in this thing here, right, that you didn't know about. It reveals all secrets. That's the power of angel, because it's a book for this time. Not Mr. Black Man, not the Quran. Angel is a book for this time. Angel and Daniel is a supplement to it, because it's also a sealed book. See here, this is one of the secrets. You're covered with death. See, you need an angel to understand who that is. Death represents the Oriental nations. See, you read King James verse, you think death is that fourth horse. You better read the transliteral. The death is the horse above it. That's the China, that's Oriental. Death is, and the Hades follow. That's the one above that one. That represents India. It says, death, your covenant with death will be canceled, and your pact with Hades will be stand. So it was two different. It's two different connections there. One is a covenant, and one is a pact. See, so what it's telling you is that, see, China and India is about to attack America. Once America gets in war with Europe, it's going to destroy the European people. It's going to destroy their power, because they fight with each other. Like if you have a family fighting each other, they're going to be weaker and weaker and weaker. And then the neighbors, if there's like one of those feuds between two families, then one would glove the other family be fighting each other, because they can be weaker and weaker and weaker. They killed off each other, so they're like, wow, there's not going to be that many. They can come just clean them up. So when Europe, when Armageddon goes, they're going to be destroying themselves. They wipe out their own tanks, their planes, and everything else. So now the power, that's why it says in the angel, right, it says that the dragon has 7 heads and 10 horns, and the crowns upon his horns. It has heads. And then it says, in chapter 13, it says that power was transferred to the beast, who had 7 heads and 10 horns, but his crown was upon his horns. That's China and India. So they become world powers because the Europeans are destroying themselves. This is about to happen, right? See? So, but India is a democracy, and China is authoritarian. That's why they also represents the leopard in Daniel, because remember, the leopard had 4 wings and 4 heads. Heads are authoritarian. Wings represents democracy. That's what's talking about. So that leopard also represents China and India, because leopard is yellow with brown spots. I'm trying to reveal a little bit of stuff from Daniel. I don't want to go too deep into it. So, they have a covenant with death. That means in their war, they expect to be at war with Russia sometime in the future. They'll attack Russia. And they want China, they got a covenant with China, right, to be on their side in this war. And there's a greater war, because they think Armageddon, they think it's a whole other war that's going to get rid of us too. So that's another story. I'm not going to go too deep into that. But they have a covenant that's a secret covenant, secret. And they have a pact with Hades. The pact with Hades is, hey, India is supposed to be a democracy like them. See? So in other words, they're supposed to come to their defense. They have a pact with them. In a war, in a war that has between democracies, India is supposed to be on America's side. But it says that's not going to work. It's not going to happen like that. Because it says the covenant with death is going to break. It says it's not going to be canceled. That means China is going to go against America. See? Because when Europe falls, and America is going to be in that war is going to be basically against America, right? See? Over there. But the China and India is going to bring it here. That's why the goat came across in Daniel. The goat came across from the west. His feet not touching the ground. He came over the Pacific Ocean and hit the ram, which is America. And his ram, the horns, is America and Britain. And it takes out Britain first, and then it takes out America. They seize to it. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little later. So China is, when Europe is tearing itself apart, China's going to not observe their secret covenant with America, and they're going to attack America. And Hades is not their pact with them, because their democracy, they're going to side with China. They're going to give up democracy. They're going to give up democracy. They're going to side with China. That's what it's talking about. And when the gushing flood, they also represents the flood, because if you understand the angel, right, China represents the seas, and India represents the rivers. So they're like flood. But they also can feel a 200 million man army. The flood is a 200 million man army. It's a flood of humanity, not a flood of water. We're going to show that in a minute. And when the gushing flood passes through, then you become its trampling ground. See, when the flood, they says, remember, when there's a flood, it said when the flood passes through, then you become its trampling ground. That means that humanity, because water doesn't trample anybody. People do. So that means it's people. That flood represents people. That 200 million man army. America cannot fill the 200. America only got, 350 million people in it? Wait a minute, how many people say 350? No. That, I don't know how many people America got. See, it's, about 350 million somewhere out there. So they can't fill 200 million man army because that'd be almost over everybody. Anybody's not elderly, they can't do it. But America, but Britain, China and India could do it easily. See, so they're the flood that's gonna wipe out all European countries, right? Because European countries and they're gonna see their advantage. They're gonna see their advantage, right? Now they have the power, they have super world powers, and they can see that's the opportunity to get rid of them. They're the flood, because the flood of humanity. See, when the gushing flood passed through, then you will become its trampling ground. They're gonna trample on you as these 200 million man army, and as often as it passed through, it will seize you. See, it's gonna come as dedicated, destroying you. That's what it says that goat, it hated the ram. It came out with anger. See. From morning after morning, it will pass through. In other words, it's just destruction. It's not going to let up. It's going from morning to evening, noontime, everything, right? It will just. And once it starts, it's not going to relent. It's not going to hold back. It's going to keep on coming after you. See, it's going to take seed of America. It's going to utterly destroy it. See, and it will be sheer terror to understand it what it means, because when you understand, that means, at some point you think maybe we might win this thing, but when you realize that this is God's destruction and you're not coming out of it, that's going to blow your mind. It's going to be sheer terror. Oh man, there's no chance of winning this, and there's no food, and I'm eating my children, and there's nothing but destruction and more destruction coming. This is just beginning of destruction, and there's no hope for me. See, that's what it means, sheer terror, when you understand that we the true seed of Abraham, that you've been oppressing, that false Israel was a lie. It was identity theft, and now they're gone. And so now you recognize we the true seed of Abraham, and all this coming upon you is all this stuff that the scripture says that God is destroying you, and He's going to destroy you till you're totally destroyed, till there's nothing left of you. That's what it means, and it will be sheer terror to understand what it means. And here it tells you, there's not going to be any security. You can't find security anywhere. Because it says, the bed is too short of which to stretch out, and the blanket is too small to wrap oneself in. For lo will rise of Mount Perazim, he will stir up the valley of Gideon to do his task, his unusual task, and to work, his extraordinary work. This is extraordinary. God's gonna go bonkers on these people. He's gonna go crazy on these people. Because of what they did to his people, apple of his eye. Went to the gods, us. And it says all that 500 years of terror they've been doing is going to come on them in one day. Can you imagine that? All that evil they've been doing the last 500 years is going to be compressed into 1 year. See? God's going to do a dance on these people. He's going to go ballistic on them. See? His extraordinary work and now and to do his work, his unusual task. This is unusual, unprecedented. That's what it means, unprecedented. You never say, that's what it says in the Quran. It says, I will, remember, Jesus paid for water, food for them. He says, I will give you all the food you want. But if you go against my limits, right, I'm going to punish you like I never punished any nation ever. That's what's talking about. He's going to go ballistic on you, boy. See, you think you don't want quick history, all this shit. You think, oh man, I had nothing to do with this. My fathers did it, but you take advantage of what they get for you. You ain't walking away from America. You still got to face Native Americans. They still in reservations. You still got their land. You still eating their food. You ain't giving none of this up. So don't tell me you have nothing to do with this, because you benefiting from what they did and you enjoying it, and you ain't giving it back. You didn't pack your bags and went back to Europe. You're just guilty as they are by your own law. If you receive stolen property and you know it's stolen and you receive it, then you're as guilty as the person that stole it. And you're receiving all this and you're enjoying it, right? Because you know where your fathers got it from. and you're still oppressing us. You know where we got us from? I ain't got nothing to do with it. I ain't never had no slaves. See? And if you came over here from another country 50 years ago, 20 years ago, well, you know what how this country got established? You're still accepting stolen goods. So don't talk that bullshit to me. See? He's like, and now, and listen to this one. And now, do you carry on as scoffers? It's talking about the Negro butts who scoffing at this message. Oh, we scoffing. They ain't man, them niggas know what talking about, man. I'm with Farrakhan. I'm with Silas. I'm with T.J. Jakes, man. I ain't listening to that BS, man. I'm down with Jesus and all that stuff. They're scoffers. He don't know what he's talking about. They're scoffers. And your shackles will be made stronger. That means because you're scoffing, you're going to be tied down more to this, and you're going to be right here tied down to this when destruction comes. Because you could have been saved. You could have been moved out here. See, you could have been delivered. You could have escaped all this. That's why I said pray that you will be able to escape all these things. See, but you scoffed at it. And so now you're tied down, and when the hell rolls in, you're going to be destroyed right along with it. You'll catch everything that they're catching. Starvation, eating your own children, everything else. See, for your shackles be made stronger. Because you're more tied down to this false American dream and everything else. Because you're scoffing at the chance to be free and separate and go home. So now you're more tied down in America than you ever was before. See, for I've heard from the Lord and armies of this size destruction on all the earth. Earth represents European countries. All are going to be destroyed. And you scoffers, you time makers, I ain't listening to that. Okay, well, don't. You're going to be right here, right? See, you get just what they get. Okay, we're going to do another thing here, then I'm going to leave it. Oops. How's it going backwards here? I think I did. Okay, now we're going to do that. We're going back. Okay, I'm going to talk briefly about this Habakkuk, because I'm going to do a whole presentation on this, right? But I just want to say a couple of things here. See, because, like I said, we revealed everything here. When they talk about the Chaldeans, that's the scriptural word for Caucasians. See, they call Caucasians Chaldeans in the Bible. Now we're going to show you. See, you read Habakkuk, and he's talking to the Chaldeans, right? Woe to the Chaldeans. Shall not all these things take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increases that which is not his. Woe to him that increases what is not his. They took Americans, don't belong to these Caucasians, these Europeans. And say, woe to him that increases that which is not his. How long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them. This is kind of confusing. I'm not going to explain that, but I'm going to get to the meat of it in a minute. Because thou hast spoiled many. Here we go. Because thou hast spoiled many nations. We haven't spoiled any nations. That's the Europeans. They spoiled many nations because they've had control for the last 500 years. Because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnants of the people shall spoil thee. That's why it says. That's all the people that's left. Right? After all the stuff they've done, us, China, India, all the people that's left, because they spoiled China, they spoiled India. They spoiled India. Remember India? They'd have Mark Gandhi come out and get rid of them, right? They spoiled China. They tell them all these drugs that come out from fentanyl and everything coming from China. They tell you about the Boxer Revolution. You know anything about that, right? They don't tell you about that because when they went to China, China was like a hermit country. So was Japan. All the people, they kept themselves. Right? They went to China and Britain didn't have any natural resources, right? So they got opium. I'm not sure from the Middle East somewhere, and they wouldn't. That's the only kind of commodity here. They forced China to take it. They forced China to become a dope addict nation. They forced dope nation. Now it's come back to haunt them. Now they died from opioid poisoning, but they forced on China, and China became a opium drug nation. It brought China down. And what happened is that they had this thing called a Boxer Rebellion. Look it up, right? Because that's what they call karate over there, boxing. Right? And what they had to do is they had to take, and they didn't have weapons right? The British had weapons and everything else, so they trained themselves, right? Karate and all that kind of stuff, right? And so they went to war with them with their hands. That was the Boxer Rebellion, because they fought back with karate and whatever. That's the Boxer Rebellion. Look it up. See? And then finally, right, when the communists took over, right, that's how they finally got rid of drugs in China, because they lined up all the people that was selling drugs, all the Chinese that was the drug pushers, right? The demons. I'm talking about the demons, because they said demons up all over the planet. See? They lined them all up, and they took their children. And they had their children, they put all the drug pushers on their knees, line them all up, and had their children blow their damn brains out. No more drug pushers in China. You don't have a drug problem in China no more. But America and Britain was the one that pushed that on them. See? So now they coming back and oh man, we got these drugs from China. They don't tell you about how they drug China. They drug China for I don't know, maybe over 100 years. They drugged. I mean, your opium dens. That place was with the paper basket case, right? Then after the Japanese attacked it, they had to tell communists to get rid of all that stuff. I'm not about communism and that stuff, because I don't believe in that stuff. Mathematics is my religion. Okay? See, you don't get the truth. They don't like the truth about Iran. Or man, Iran was a democracy in the 50s. See, full-fledged democracy. I think the president was named Muhammad something. But see, he nationalizes all. He said, all that come out of Iran, that's our oil. Britain said, Britain Petroleum, BP. See, they were saying, no, man, we developed this our oil. So Britain thought that Iranian oil was theirs. And so the Iranians said, the hell with that, we taking it all back. So they nationalized the oil. They took it all back. And so the British went and told the CIA, said, man, what y'all gonna do, man? Y'all taking our the same BS happening in Vietnam because of the Vietnam War, but I'm not going to that. So the CIA went over there and started a coup and got rid of Muhammad. And then what they did is they brought in the Shah, who could teach Saddam Hussein lessons. That guy was totally cold. I don't even think he even tried to be a Sunni. He was totally cold. He was a dictator that was propped up by America to keep that oil coming to over here. And that went on for about 29 years, until 1979, when they finally got rid of Shah and brought the Ayatollah in. And they said, oh man, why do you hate so much this evil? Look what you did to them. The Shah was oppressing those people. So America, he was having big parties and everything else, sending all that oil. And he sent over, I think he said he sent over $1 trillion worth of oil to America, but he sold over $1 trillion worth of oil to America at cheap prices, and he put the money in American banks. See? He put his money in American banks. So America was playing a game. They playing the game, all the Middle Eastern countries. Let me say, I'm going to say this. See, just like this reparation thing, I talked about that in class. Boy, brother and sister, you've been programmed. You're a Negro but don't know it. Okay. America, first they're using dollars, which are worthless. So they've been paid in dollars. That's why they got rid of Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi, because they said they wouldn't take dollars and they want real gold. So they're paying these worthless dollars. They was getting real oil though. And because a dollar is just a promise to pay a certain amount. And if you pay more dollars, that dollar maybe worth only a quarter. Maybe only worth 10 cents. Maybe only worth a penny. If you have inflation. So anyway, so they can play this game with it. So they was accepting that. So they was buying, so on paper, right, they bought like $1 trillion worth of oil, and they paid Iran $1 trillion for it, right? And then Iran in turn puts the money back in American banks. So we controlled the whole thing. So on books it looks like they bought it, but they ain't did a damn thing, because the point, they got the money in the banks, they got the oil. So you just got their word that they won't give you the money, even if it worth anything. And that's exactly what happened. See, because when they went through the Shah tried to get in America to get that money. See, it wasn't his money, it was Iranian money. But they wouldn't let him in the United States. So he went to Sadat over when Sadat was running in Egypt, and Sadat let him in, and he died from cancer. Good for his ass. And so America kept the money. So that means they didn't pay a dime for it. They got $1 trillion worth of oil over these, and they didn't pay a dime for it. And that's what the same thing doing in Saudi Arabia. They're not paying a dime. They take Saudi Arabia, all the money, and so that all the money that Saudi Arabia is doing, they invest in American banks. That's why you had people like Bin Laden, and they were trying to stop that, because they knew what the game was. They knew once that oil run out, they expect the oil run out in Saudi Arabia the next 30 years. Then as soon as they try to get their money back, they said, no, you press women, and you did this and that, and we're gonna seize your money. And so they got all for nothing. And they said, oh, we're gonna give Iran trying to get a nuclear deal right. We're gonna give Iran $30 billion. That's their own money. They ain't giving them anything. They don't get reaching all the money they've taken. You see the game? And that's why they call them terrorists. Why was all the educated people, all these so-called terrorists, educated people with PhDs and master's degrees and everything else, why are they the terrorists? Because they knew the game. And they were trying to save their people, save their nation from being ripped off. Because they knew the Saudis, they were going to take they was going to take money and leave once it all runs out. They was going to abandon, and then Arabs, all they got is sand left. Who's going to buy sand? They're the poorest people on the planet. And then what happens then? Then America comes in and tell them, hey man, you better ban all this Sunni stuff. You better ban in Mecca, or you're going to starve to death. Then what you think happens then? That's the game. See, it's like these 6 states. We're going to give you 6 states over here, landlocked states. We're going to give you these states over here. See, that's what Farrakhan's saying. He wasn't preparing for it. He didn't get the states anyway. And then they tell all the whites over here, put your money in precious metals. Gold, silver, diamonds, whatever. See? Once they do that, and they give you reparations, then you over there, they gave everybody $1 million. We gave every person over there $1 million. So maybe it's 30 million, you got 30 million, 34 million. You got everybody get $1 million. Oh man, everybody got $1 million, man. We got 6 states, landlocked states, right? With no topsoil. Remember topsoil I told you about? Topsoil in America is very thin now. That's why they came out of Europe, because they used up all the topsoil. Because they don't know how to handle stuff. So they came over here and took all the topsoil they came away. It was very deep. Now they used almost all up. So then you got these 6 states with hardly any topsoil, and within 10, 15 years, nothing will grow. That's these so-called leaders taking you to. That's what they're taking you to, leading you to. So now you go over there with land that's nearly barren. Each one got $1 million. And people over here in this side of America, right? They put their money in precious metals and precious dime silver like that, right? And so then America starts printing money like crazy, inflation. So now a loaf of bread costs $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. You think that would happen? It happened in Germany, right? Inflation was so bad that they was paying like $100,000 for a loaf of bread. That's why they had to bring Hitler on and put us into that stuff. See? So then all of a sudden your money's worthless. And then once your money's broke, you don't have none, it's worthless, totally worthless. You have none. Then they tell the white folks back over here, okay, put your money back in dollars again. And now you over there with a land that's barren, nearly barren, and you have no money, and you no means to trade with anybody else anyway. And if you listen to Farrakhan, you don't have anybody doing your infrastructure, because you got to ask Daddy, Master, would you do my electricity for me? Will you do my water? Because you ain't training nobody to do that kind of stuff. But even if you had somebody, now you're dead. So now you say, oh, Master, we got to come back. Master, hell no, you wanted out there, so you got it. So they close the door on your ass. That's in the niggas. That's in the Negro butts. Just die of hunger, starvation. You don't think that would happen that way? Ask the American Indians how it happened to them. You're fools. You see these damn assholes. You got a choice. Go back to your land. See? This is what Farrakhan leading you to. See? That's exactly what would happen. And then you don't have no covenant. Because remember, if God says, okay, I made a covenant with you, right? You work. You did the work. You paid for this Lamborghini. You've been working years and years, paid for this Lamborghini, right? So now it's time to collect it. You don't pay the money. Then you go and let somebody flim-flam you and talk you and take them, take it to a BMW. After you done paid the price for a Lamborghini, everybody talking to BMW. Then you go home and tell everybody, man. Everybody said, man, you're a fool, man. Why do you do something dumb like that? Then you go back and they say, hell no, you made the deal. Then you go to the judge, but the hell out of you, you made the deal. And so that's when you come to God and say, God, help me. He said, hell with you. I offered you this. You rejected it. You rejected the covenant. You accepted that. So hell with you. Now I have no responsibility no more. I'm through with you. You accepted that as payment. And America's off the hook because now you accept the payment. It's like you take a civil suit and you tell a criminal suit and to a civil suit, because okay, this guy he went and he beat you up, put you in the hospital. So now it's a criminal suit. So he come and tell you, look, man, I'll give you $1 million, man, if you drop the charges. So then he turned to a civil suit. So now he's off the hook. He paid you. See? So this criminal thing become a civil thing once you take reparations, and the 6th day become a civil thing, and that you settle, because you said, for all the pain and suffering that we went through, we want to accept this as payment. So then you guards don't have nothing to do with you no more. And then it's not a criminal thing with them no more because you accepted that as payment. You don't understand none of that, do you? Because you listen to these damn stupid ass leaders that call themselves black leaders, they're Negro butts and demons, see, leading you to destruction. Let's finish this up and then we move on. Because they have spoiled many nations, and the remnant of the people shall spoil thee. So that all the people are going to turn against them. That's why I was talking about hell and death and Hades. They're going to turn against them. Even EU going to turn against them. The so-called NATO going to turn against America. Everybody's going to turn against them, right? Spoil all the remnants of the people shall spoil thee, right? Because of men's blood and for the violence of the land of the city and all that dwells in, all the violence America's done everybody. Remember they invaded Iraq over bullshit? Woe to them that covers an evil covenants to his house. He may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. See, they think because they got powerful weapons, all kind of stuff, that they can fight off evil, right? And they call evil good anyway, and good evil, right? Thou hast consulted shame to thy house. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. For the stone shall cry out in the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that builds a town. Here we go. Woe to him that builds a town with blood, right? And stable is a city by iniquity. That's America. They build those off the blood of people, right? And iniquity, lies, and evil, wickedness, right? That means that's the structure of America. Genderism and homosexual, all that kind of stuff, right? Okay. Behold, is not of the Lord of hosts that people shall labor in the very fire, and the people shall weary themselves for every very vanity, for there shall be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord as waters cover the sea. Woe to him that gives his neighbor a drink, that putteth that bottle to him. And this is difficult reading here. I should have used a different translation. Him that drunks also, and thou mayest look on their nakedness. In other words, they made us drunks. First of all, we programmed. They made us drunks, and turned and made our women whores and everything else, so they can see our nakedness. So they can tell the world, see how they are. I mean, they just niggas. They ain't no good. And then they got the demons to help them because they look like us, and they out there. They show the whole world, right? And so since they look like us, they think that's us. They got women with ass as big as a moon, shaking their ass like jelly. Then some nigga got his nose up their butt, and they wiggling. That ain't us. See? But they make us look. They expose our necks. In other words, they make us look like total fools before the whole world. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drinketh thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. That's talking about circumcision. And right hand shall be turned to thee, and shame of viewing be on thy glory. That's kind of difficult. But this thing about circumcision, they're not talking about physical circumcision. I mean, that's part of it, because it is positive to do that. Because that was a practice we did long before Caucasians came along. But it's a healthy practice, because keep women getting cervical cancer and stuff like that, right? What are they talking about? They're talking about in the time of Adam, right? We need to circumcise that blackness. See, that's what happened. What Yaqub did, he circumcised them. He circumcised those black folks and took that black skin off of them, that foreskin. And because they would be successful, all those who were circumcised would be successful. All the devils would be successful, as we're talking about. See, that's a little more complicated. Anyway, brothers and sisters, I'm going to leave it there. Brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. So, let me check over here with let's see what's going on here. Hold on here, brothers and sisters. We're going to close out with our audio, brothers and sisters. Let me see, brothers and sisters, what's going on here. Hold on, brothers and sisters, for a second here. Okay, brothers and sisters, we're gonna close out on the fire zone. I got a comment that the sound is a little sharp and distorted, and that's probably correct, right? So that's something I'm working on, because I'm doing two things at the same time. It sounds good. If I make it sound good on the audio, on the video, it sounds better on the audio. But if I make it sound good on the audio, it sounds better on the video. So we don't ask for a dime here. I have to make this work. I am a computer person, but I'm working on it. So thanks for the comment. Okay. Fire zone, black alert, out. Fire zone, out. Okay, see here. And brothers and sisters, we're going to close out on the audio. The video portion. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Okay. Hope you understand. War's coming. This war with Russia is not the war. It's a rumors and war. Rumors it falls into the category of wars and rumors of wars. But the real war is about to take place in the Middle East, which is going to trigger Armageddon. See? And Armageddon is the war in Europe, which is going to tear Europe apart, which is going to have China and India become world powers, who's going to invade America. But the thing you need to pay attention to, and the thing you need to pay close attention to, whether you accept it or not, false Israel's not about taken out, because we're the true seed of Abraham. It says, when you see the abomination of desolation and stand in a place it should not be, when Jerusalem is surrounded by armies, it says, when you see that, flee, because they're going to cut your throat. Because at that point, right, because that means, it says, when you see it, flee, because it says, because their destruction is nigh. Because at their destruction, that means that's going to be living proof that they're not the true seed of Abraham. Living proof that they're not the true seed of Abraham. That means we have to be. And that means they're going to cut your throat, because all these people, they look at this, they call us Christians and evangelicals and everything else. The word going to go out, right? The word will go out instantly from all these preaching and everything else, that we're the true seed of Abraham, and all the hell they catch, because they're going to be at war with Europe at that time. As soon as they kicked out of the Middle East, they go to war instantly. America go to war with Europe, it's going to be Europe is going to explode. That's Armageddon. See, and their whole foundation of believing who they think they're great, they're the chosen people, that kind of stuff, is going to come crashing down. They're going to realize they've been working with Satan, the evil devils, right? That America wasn't the promised land, that there was genocidal maniacs. They came and committed genocide. They wiped out the people. They stole the land. They brought us over here and destroyed us, right? That they would see that, like Jesus said, their father's the devil. They came and steal, kill, and destroy. Once that come clear them and who they are, and all this hell is coming on them because of it. And then the reason why is us. The reason why all this happening is us. They're gonna try to wipe us out. They're gonna try. They're gonna come in next door and blow you away, because the word's gonna go out, all of them. See, it ain't peace in the army, because they can't come to you like that. It's gonna be the next door neighbors. People maybe sleeping in the same bed with you. They're gonna come away. That's why they flee. If they don't get your baby, don't do anything, just flee, because you don't have a chance to do anything else. Just flee immediately. You better understand that, brothers and sisters, because this is about to happen in a few more days. Assalamu alaikum.